stand. You just pull up the stand.
Yeah, the
and
green screen. Yeah,
dude, get one with the undroppables, and we'll fucking hook them up and just boom.
So is this episode 16?
17. So if you you have a green screen, you can literally make whatever you want behind you.
Oh,
so I could be live from Levi's Stadium if I wanted to be, and yeah, I would look like I was at the stadium. That's what a green screen does.
Ooh.
Right.
Ooh.
The only thing is I called it episode 16 on StreamYard, but that's all right. We can figure that shit out later. So we're recording live. The only thing I can't figure out now is where to record the video.
You're already recording
the video.
We've been recording for 50 seconds.
Oh, yeah. I hit up live. Okay. Well, I guess it automatically records it then. Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just wondering what options it gives me. Hold on here. Yeah, that's fine. We'll figure it out, hopefully.
All right.
So what do you think the third thing is? Do you like those things for the first? COVID hasn't derailed us yet. Injuries continue to blah, blah, blah.
I had injuries continue to mount.
Yeah.
Yep.
COVID hasn't shut us down yet. What's the third thing?
Joe Mixon rips the shit up out of fucking Jacksonville
yeah,
for 3-tutted, baby.
I know. Beezy's.
What did I say last week?
He was a buy low.
Yeah.
Somebody should give me some props.
Yeah.
I'll give you props,
yeah.
dude.
There's lots of it to go around. Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Okay, let's go.
All right. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah, this will be perfect.
We're already going.
Okay. Injuries continue to mount. It turns out that COVID didn't stop the NFL machine, and I think Joe Mixon just scored again. All that and more on this episode of Unscripted. Hello, listener land, and welcome to the best damn fantasy podcast for your ears. I am your host, Randall Kennedy. I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime, the Godfather, Paul Lundegaard, and the chef, Jake B. Song. You can find them both on Twitter at Pauly Sleepers and at DeBeezyBFF. I'll let you guys figure out which is which. So, guys, this was a pretty, I'll say, an eventful week in the NFL. We kind of got a couple of scares. We didn't know what was going on with the Saints and the Lions game for a second there. We thought it might get shut down. The Steelers game actually did get postponed. The Chiefs and the Patriots played last night. I don't know if you guys stayed up and finished the 2 Monday night games.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know I did. So what are your thoughts on what we saw this weekend? I guess we can start with last night with the Patriots and Chiefs.
Hello, Damian Harris. Welcome to the game, young man. Like, he came out, ripped off a 40-yarder, had 100 yards altogether, and he looked okay. He didn't look too bad for it being like his first, real NFL game. Kansas City's defense is pretty decent up front, and he did some work. Kansas City, I thought, was going to put this game in the bag a little bit earlier. Seemed like they just weren't clicking on all cylinders like they normally are. Obviously this is Belichick, and he's a defensive mastermind. So, I'm sure he was scheming out certain players and stuff like that, and doing what he does best. But I expected Kansas City, especially with the quarterbacks and Hoyer and Stidham, to really kind of just stomp down. I thought Mahomes was going to have a big game this week. So it wasn't bad, but it wasn't what I was expecting.
So I think we've seen that from Bill Belichick they struggle with the Patriots more than anyone. There's a sort of a saying about Paul Bear Bryant. I don't know if you guys have heard it. He'd take his'n and beat yourn, and then take yourn and beat his'n. And I feel kind of like Bill Belichick can do that. That game was sort of held down, and I sort of expected it. If you watched last week, the Ravens, they blitzed Pat Mahomes a lot. They blitzed him 19 times. And of those 19 times, he beat that blitz 15 times, twice for touchdowns. And so what you saw Belichick doing was he was feigning the blitz on the edges and then dropping those guys back in coverage. And he was able to get pressure from his edge rushers, Chase Winovich in particular, probably his best game as a pro, and was forcing Mahomes back up into the pocket and not allowing him to get outside and make plays with his legs, and had a bunch of people drop back in zone coverage. I thought it was a pretty good game plan. It almost worked. I have no idea why Hoyer started the game. Belichick came out today and said that he refused to name a starter in the event Cam Newton wasn't ready for their next game. Can't imagine it wouldn't be Jared Stidham.
I couldn't imagine either. No, even with the 2 interceptions, he obviously looked a little bit better than Hoyer, who was absolutely horrible.
So the Chiefs came on late in that game. If Cam plays, the Patriots win that game, I think.
I wouldn't be surprised. It would be a lot closer, that's for sure.
I mean, they'd be right there for sure. Yeah. I mean, to your point about Damian Harris, they did run the ball pretty well. Rex Burkhead played well. I can't imagine that Newton wouldn't have contributed in some way to the running game. As far as moving forward, I'm not running out to spend a bunch of my fab money on Damian Harris.
No, not for redraft. No, I wouldn't. Not for redraft.
It's just everything that was true about Sony Michel was true about Damian Harris, right? His ceiling is capped. Cam Newton's going to get the touchdowns in close. You never know what they're going to do week to week. He got 17 carries this week. He might not touch the football next week. You just don't ever know. It's the Patriots.
Belichickians will mess you up, but you're not rushing out to spend a bunch of money or draft capital or something to trade for him. But the fact of the matter is the people like me that have been holding him are finally going to get a chance to hopefully see a little bit of value.
Yes.
It is tough to see who's going to be driving the bus, but Sony, his situation reminds me of a running back. I can't remember his name. The guy for the Dolphins that had like 200-yard games, and then he went to the Eagles, and then he was dead.
Was that a
Jay? G.I.
Yeah, so Sony and Jay, they both had the same affliction where they don't have cartilage in one of their knees. And I don't know why the Patriots drafted Sony, because they knew that when they drafted him. But he's got a shelf life of when it's done, it's done. So he will be relevant like he was last week, where he got 117 yards, and then he'll be dead. So Damian Harris can take over that backfield in the terms of, the context of the Patriots and how they use their running backs. It still is going to be sporadic usage, but people have to remember that he, played ahead of Josh Jacobs in Alabama. So the guy does have the chops. He looked pretty good to me.
I agree.
We'll move on to the next game, because I know you guys want to talk about this guy. I want to talk about Robert Tonyan, Bobby Tonyan. He got 6 of his 6 targets for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. Coincidentally, that was the third 3-touchdown game of his career. He had 2 3-touchdown games in college.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
No, I mean,
yeah. So he went to Indiana State, and I know you guys watched the broadcast last night. Jim Nantz made a fool of himself by continually calling Clyde Edwards-Helaire Clyde to Glide, Clyde Drexler's nickname. I am not going to call Bobby Tonyan the hick from French Lick. I'm not going there, but he did play for Indiana State. He started as a quarterback. He played under Mike Sanford, who played quarterback at USC for John McKay. I don't know if you guys remember John McKay was the first Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. He famously quipped when asked about his offense's execution that he was in favor of it.
Yep.
So he's got some pedigree there. He started as a quarterback. He switched to wide receiver. He went undrafted in 2017. He looked really good last night.
Yeah, he did. And, I was just looking up something really quick as we were chatting through. I think this was a lot to do with the game script that they saw. Week 2, Hawkinson had a decent game against them. In week 3, I believe it was – I lost my notes. Hold on, let me rephrase that.
Unscripted,
Professor. Professor, do your thing on this one.
Now that we're doing video, I can actually see the smoke coming out of your ears.
Yeah, you can, dude. It's blowing very hard right now. I'm trying to get my groove back. All right. So in week 3, Jimmy Graham on the Bears went for 60 and 2 TDs. And now Tonyan goes off and goes for 98 yards and 3 TDs. So I think
the Falcons play this week.
Oh God, I mean they go with.
Is it a division game?
Playing Carolina.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
Yeah, nothing. but like I said, that could be a little game script that they saw with that team for tight ends, so that's what they took advantage of. But I like Tonyan. I mean, everybody was all high on Jay Sternberger coming in. They thought he was going to be the guy to grab, and we were all kind of big wolf, dude. Tonyan comes out of nowhere and just takes the role.
I think Stern still has like 2 NFL catches to his name. This reminds me of the conversation we had last week when we talked about selling high. Yeah. And the difference between selling high and keeping good players so you can win championships, and people are so, we talked about James Robinson and shock offloading James Robinson and not realizing that his value's on the rise and he could have gotten more for him if he waited 6 days to trade him. Robert Tonyan to me is the epitome of a sell high. In this case, I'm the type of guy that I'll keep a guy that looks like he's going to get production so I can put him in my lineup and win my games. But I have Tonyan. What's funny? I had like 80% exposure. And when he put up a goose egg, I dropped him in a bunch of leagues. I don't like goose eggs, especially for somebody that I, just spent fab money on. I was kind of pissed off that he didn't do anything week 1. Because if he would have caught 4 balls for 40 yards week 1, I'd have 80% exposure right now. But you guys know how impatient I can be. But with Devontae Adams due to come back probably this week, he's going to get red zone looks. Robert Tonyan just had his career game.
I agree.
He'll never do that again.
No, I agree.
He'll never do that again. So I think it's the ultimate sell high of the season so far.
They're off this week. And then
there you go. Adams will be back then.
The following week, they have the Buccaneers. And
good game.
The Buccaneers, they're really good on the ground. I just want to if Aaron Jones happens to have a subpar performance against Tampa Bay, and because he was off this week and he comes back and he has maybe a subpar performance and there's a small buy window that opens up, yeah, do it. My man's already scored 6 touchdowns this year. He scored 19 last year. All he does is score touchdowns. He's ridiculous. He didn't even play that much last night.
No, Jamal Williams got a lot of run.
Jamal Williams got a lot of burn last night. And, Aaron Jones still dented the scoreboard. He's amazing, man. I really, really like that kid. Wish I had more of him.
Yeah, I got to share recently. You saw that trade in one of the leagues we were all in together where I made the power play to go all in. He's definitely get him as much. If you can buy him this year, you got to go get him because he is big offense. Aaron Rodgers is going nuts right now, and you want a piece of that offense. Aaron Jones is a key piece.
There's only so many pieces to get of that offense.
Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams, and
it's such a concentrated offense. Do they re-sign him, Beezy?
You'd have to think that they would, but I mean, just with the way that they kind of treated this offseason and went out and got AJ Dillon, I do wonder if this team is looking at a possibility of saying see you later, but I don't see why they would.
Dillon though, does he cook a really mean chili or something?
I'll say it again. Imagine how good this team would be if they'd have spent their first and second round picks on players that could actually help them.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. And
Justin Jefferson, Brandon Ayuk, T. Higgins,
disgusting.
Yeah,
Michael Pittman.
Yeah, I think that they would probably make a play at if they can get him in a good contract, they probably would. I just for some weird reason I just feel like he's not wanted there, and it's ridiculous how they use him sometimes. I mean, it was like the whole second quarter he wasn't even involved in the game one bit.
I think they have to resign
really
him.
Want to make him last.
Maybe.
Whenever I see them, not using him for a long period of time, my thought process is it's not because they don't think he's good, obviously. I mean, they use him like a wide receiver and he fits so well into what they want to do that I'm just thinking, they just want to make sure that he's there for the long haul. I think they re-sign him. He fits in that offense so well.
Mm-hmm.
Jamal Williams is on a contract year. He probably won't make it. And then we'll see some A.J. Dillon next year, maybe.
Can A.J. Dillon do the things that Jamal Williams does? Because he's pretty good pass catcher in his own right.
Yeah, he is. I don't think so.
He got 8 targets last night, I think.
Yeah, which proves that they just love using that position as a wide receiver. Because you don't see it in college doesn't mean it's not there. Proof and point Jonathan Taylor, who catches almost everything that's thrown his way. But I see A.J. Dillon as a LeGarrette Blount type player. I mean, he'll bowl you over, but I don't know that he's got the athletic profile, the lateral movement, the hands, the vertical, the aptitude. I mean, I don't know. We'll have to show
that. He didn't show any of that at BC.
I'm worried that they're going to plot him. They're going to trot him out there, and it's going to telegraph the play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's why Adrian Peterson didn't work for the Saints, because he went out there and everybody was like, run, I formation, run. And it was a run,
Yep. Well, A.J. Dillon had 1 carry for 3 yards. Jamal Williams had 8 carries for 10 yards, and he had 8 receptions for 95. Like, obviously, they're not using him right now. I mean, I no idea why they drafted him. Didn't make any sense to me one bit whatsoever.
Okay, we're going to move the chains a little bit, and since Paulie brought up some people that you want to buy low and sell high, if you watched or listened last week, you know that we advised you to go out and get Joe Mixon. If you were able to buy him low, good for you. If you did not sell him, now is the time to sell him. You wait for that 3 touchdown game and his value to spike back up. Personally, I'd hang on to him if you're that invested. You're this far down the line. He's had his 3 touchdown game. Hopefully this is they're going to continue to get him involved. We also told you guys if you had the room and the patience with these rookies, to hang on to these rookies. Don't drop Cam Akers. Don't drop Swift. Swift had an excellent game.
Yep.
And they are also on a bye this week. If an impatient owner is out there, be proactive. Go look for this guy on the waiver wire. He's going to help you down the stretch. Another one is Vaughn. Got in on the action. This is sort of the thing. So Rojo had 3 drops Sunday, and so that's not Rojo's fault, because they're asking Rojo to do things that he's not good at. He's not good at catching the ball, which is the whole reason why they drafted Vaughn to get in there on 3rd downs. It's the whole reason why they kept Dare Ogunbowale all last year. This is why Bill Belichick is so much better than everyone else. He gets these guys and he doesn't ask them to do things that they can't do. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent, but
man, these guys drop the ball. I'm tired of everybody dogging out Rojo for his drops. If you watch football on Sunday, these running backs get targeted and they catch the ball about 70% of the time, which is what he does. He was out there for 49 snaps to Vaughn's 19, 20 carries for 111 yards. In PPR, I mean, he only got 17 yards, but he, caught 6 balls, so that helps you out a ton. We would be remiss if we didn't go back to Joe Mixon. I mean, Jesus, can Beasley talk about his boy just a little bit? Give him some.
Just give me a minute to just blow off a little here.
We were always going to go back and touch on all these guys. I just wanted to get them all out there.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know, but Mixon was actually in the hospital on Saturday night before the game. He was actually having issues breathing and he was having chest pains. So they didn't quite know what was going on. That's where the questionable tag came in.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so I guess he was cleared later on in the evening, and the doctor said he could go play. So he was in the hospital the day before. This game was this is what the Bengals needed in terms of trying to get their confidence in their offensive line, a little bit more confidence towards Joe Mixon. Everybody was kind of worried about Gio. Gio is getting phased out, and it's big time. I mean, Joe Mixon ran 25 routes to Gio's 6. Joe Mixon had 6 targets. Gio had 0.
Where's it been?
They finally used him the way that he needs to be used.
That's it.
Why took so long?
Personally, again, this is what kind of happened last year
Who knows?
Last year he was like the running back 38 up to week 7. And now this week he was like the running back 36. And now all of a sudden they just come out and they just they just give him the ball. They just let him do his thing. Personally, I think, when we're coming out of this year and we're going into like this whole COVID scenario, these first few games were we're almost like preseason games in a sense. Teams are trying to figure out what they had, get some looks at some different players, see what was working. Personally, I think Taylor he's going to realize that if he wants to win a fucking football game, to give the damn ball to Joe Mixon out of that backfield and to get that guy into space. That's how you're going to win football games. Makes the offense better. It's a fantastic option for, Burrows and Burrow. And, I just think that, hopefully this moving forward, they'll start to use him more. The 6 targets was big. I that was encouraging to see. Finally, he caught all 6 of them. And, they got a couple of tough matchups coming up, but then they get a little bit of a window of a break right during that playoff time where they have a lot of juicy matchups. So he could be a league winner for you at the end of the year. But, he's going to be kind of I think you're going to see some big games and you might see a couple of stinkers, but hold tight because you see the talent he has.
You mentioned sell high. I mean, with the landscape of the position, unless you have a plethora of running backs and you need another position, I think you're keeping him. Most people who have Joe Mixon need him with all the other injuries that we will touch on. Some pretty big injuries at the position this week.
That was more for dynasty. If you're done for the ride in dynasty, you don't wait till a player's value is bottomed completely out. And to get back to Rojo, you'll find no bigger Rojo fan than me, literally and figuratively. I love Rojo as a player. He's not a good pass catcher. And I'm not going to continue to put that square peg in a round hole. That's they're not going to this is not a 3-down workload. They're not going to give him all the touches. And if Fournette's not going to be out there, Vaughn's going to probably get some burn. So
yeah, he will. He will.
Be active on your waiver wire and get Vaughn before next week when Fournette misses another game and he goes out there and maybe he scores again, and then it's prime time and everybody's watching, and then everybody's going to be after him. That's all I would say. Is just to be active, just to be proactive on your waiver wire.
Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong.
I don't think Rojo's going anywhere.
No, I don't think so either. But I do think you're right. I mean, Vaughn's definitely. Again, sometimes when we get into this whole thing, we see how situations are playing out at the beginning of the year. Some of these guys become dead instantaneously, like they haven't even touched the field and they're already dead. And the thing people got to look at is situations, injuries, stuff that happens throughout the year. You want to, especially in Dynasty, you want to have these little pieces because a piece like Vaughn that you could throw on your taxi squad now has twice the value that he had, at the beginning of the year. And if you now actually have yourself, McCoy got hurt too. So there's a chance it could be Fournette out and McCoy out. Now you got 2 guys. So go for it.
If McCoy's out, if a tree falls in the forest.
Yeah, McCoy's dead anyway. He looks terrible. He looks terrible. It's like,
well, he went down with an injury. I was watching. He trotted out there and quickly limped off the field, like one snap. So
get Vaughn now. Get him now.
Absolutely.
Agree. Someone who did not look terrible Sunday again. Justin Herbert Justin Herbert looked phenomenal Sunday. He became just the second quarterback since 1970 to throw for over 900 yards in their first 3 games, the other being Cam Newton. He looks great. He's poised. He has command of his troops out there. I'm really excited about. He's going to have some rough games. He's going to fall back, but I'm really excited about it. And I think the Chargers got a good one.
Well, you saw that thread that I posted in our chat. I kind of got into it with that guy Kev Moynihan, whatever his name is. He said Justin Herbert is nothing special, and he was pretty much dogging him out. And I just posted a tweet that somebody else had in that same thread. I didn't even say anything. I just posted it in there. He thumbs upped it. He knows he has to take an L. Because before he threw that pick at the very end of the game, he had a perfect passer rating until that pick came.
Yeah.
So, you were really high on this guy. We talked about him a little bit last week, and he is the real deal for sure.
It's just like people forget, if he'd came out of school a year earlier, he was going to be the #1 pick, not Kyler Murray.
Yep.
He was going to be the #1 pick. And it's like people just completely forgot about him. But he looks really good out there. And if you manage to get Keenan Allen at any sort of discount at the fear that Tyrod Taylor was going to be his quarterback, man, Keenan Allen, he's getting peppered with targets. He's had 20 some targets the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's 21 or 23. I can't remember. But yeah, he's looking for Keenan Allen hard. That's his guy. And it's not just Keenan. It is Keenan Allen, but it's not just, he's dropping dimes to guys I've never heard of. Yeah. Guys are scoring and catching these touchdowns in the back of the end zone. It's like, man, he's spreading the ball around just enough. And
that John Guyton, I think, played 2 snaps and caught that 1 ball for that deep touchdown.
Yeah. So he's doing it, man. I don't see any way they go back to Tyrod Taylor.
No way.
To go on to your point, Keenan Allen has 31 targets in 2 games.
Jesus.
He had 19 targets against Carolina in week 3 and 12 this week, dude.
That's insane. He didn't produce as much this week. He had 8 for 62, but still the usage is through the charts. And Tyrod was targeted him 9 times a game. So, I mean, this guy is, on pace to smash 160, 170 targets. It's fantastic.
A route runner like Keenan Allen with 170 targets is going to be a wide receiver. He's going to be a top 3 wide receiver.
I agree. Yep.
He's going to be a top 3 PPR wide receiver.
One of the steals of the draft this year right now. I mean,
and in the fishbowl, he was going in like round 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
That's fantastic.
Speaking of fishbowl, how you guys doing?
2-2. Beat PA Howdy this week to get back to even.
Ooh, he was in my division last year.
Yeah, he's a fun guy to play with. We were kind of dogging each other before the game, so he's fun. But I had James Robinson, DJ Shark, Lamar, Mark Andrews all had a good week this week, so I was able to squeak one out and kind of get myself back to even. But the two games before that were a little rough. I had a lot of injuries I was dealing with, so
I'm hurting. I'm 1-3. One of my losses is to Colleen Cassidy, who is a fan, who is like top 10 in scoring out of 1,600 people. This past week, I had Ben off for the COVID and Drew Lock not starting. So I picked up Rippin and went ahead and let it rip. And, man, it looked like a great call.
For a while.
Yeah.
Late in the game, he had like 24 points.
Yeah.
But a pick 6 in Scott Fishbowl is death. He went from like 23 points to I think he finished with like 6.
Oh.
I've got Chris Godwin out, and then Julio, I went ahead and fired him up. Speaking of Julio, remember last week when I said he's going to pay the price for forcing that hamstring?
Yeah, that happened.
I'm not the one that's going to take a victory lap on injuries to Julio. He's one of my top 3 favorite players. But the writing was on the wall with all his wincing 2 weeks ago, and then last week he tried to give it a go. Man, if somebody that if he keeps pressing it, he's gonna possibly have a major hamstring issue.
And to give you some credit too, what was it Olamide Zacchaeus?
Oh yeah,
dude, Calvin Ridley got blanked out. I mean, 5 targets, no receptions, and the Zacchaeus kid went for 8 for 86. He was their leading receiver, so
he was hurting. Russell Gage didn't do much. I think he had 4 PPR points. Julio went out of that game. I said last week that it's just a matter of opportunity, and that team passes so much. Olamide Zacchaeus is the new Russell Gage. It just happened overnight, and people don't realize it yet. But he's caught 12 of his 15 targets the last 2 games. He went 8 for 9 targets for 86 yards this last game. So it's not sexy, but Russell Gage was never sexy either. And with all these injuries and stuff, if you need a plug and play, I mean, Calvin's not right. Julio's not right. Gage isn't going to, be Gage unless he's the number 3 and getting that nickel coverage. So Olamide, for as long as it lasts, fire it up.
Yeah, ride it out.
So one of my teams had Devontae Adams, who was a scratch, and I didn't have anybody else but Zach. So I tossed him out there.
Did you throw him out there?
I threw him out there, and it ended up being the difference between winning and losing.
I played him in 2 of my matches in like deep flex leagues, and he got you, 16, 17 points. It's just fantastic. And that game, man, I mean, Matt Ryan just looked horrible.
He did.
Yeah, he admitted it after the game that he just didn't show up. Green Bay's defense is set up really nice for Matt Ryan, the way they stunt on the line and the way that they kind of jog in and out of man and zone coverage. They had the ticket.
Yep.
They had the ticket for that big time. I would have loved to have seen Atlanta put up a better fight. Todd Gurley owners were happy because he fell across
2 touchdowns.
The second time he fell across the end zone, literally one of his players pushed him in. I don't know if you saw that. But.
No, I didn't. Hey, touchdowns are touchdowns, man. Get it where you can.
Touchdowns. I think that he's got a chance to score 15 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he does.
I mean,
yeah,
crazy enough.
We keep mentioning injuries. 200 people, 200 players on injured reserve through 4 weeks.
It's wild, man. It's wild.
There were several headlining injuries on Sunday. Austin Eckler, Chubb, O.J. Howard, Sam Darnold, Noah Fant. These are guys that you're going to be without for a while. O.J. Howard's done for the year. If the Chargers continue to lose games, it really wouldn't surprise me to see Austin Eckler done for the year. They're saying that it's not going to be that now, but who knows how long he's going to be out. I don't know how long Chubb is going to be out. It's going to be at least 3 weeks because they put him on injured reserve. Sam Darnold's going to try and play this week. Unless you're in like a deep skank super flex league, you're not worried about Darnold anyway. You're certainly not playing Joe Flacco under any circumstances. Flex someone else. Don't flex Joe Flacco. And Noah Fant's a real buzzkill because he was having a pretty good season. And
my God, yeah, definitely a guy that we talked about a lot this summer.
Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick, go pick him up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So okay, the big pickup last week that I talked about was KJ Hamler, and he, everybody loves this kid, but he got hurt, and we talk about it all the time. Opportunity is everything. So Patrick played 75% of the snaps, caught 6 of 7 targets for 133 yards. He's going to be out there. Hamler's I think has a hamstring. He's going to probably miss a few games. So there you go. And they're going to be in a passing game script.
Yep.
They're not going to be salting away games with Melvin Gordon as they've got the lead in the fourth quarter. It's just not going to happen. So Tim Patrick could be some great garbage man. I mean, look at some of the names that we're mentioning: Olamide Zacchaeus, Tim Patrick. These are guys that aren't necessarily league winners, but they're solid flex plays that can, win you a game.
Go.
Well, since you guys don't know what to talk about, can we talk about Antonio Gibson, baby?
Yeah, we can.
I actually had a really good point about the injuries.
Go ahead.
Tim Ryan on NFL radio today, Pat Kerwin and those guys said that he had an idea. The NFL didn't go into a bubble, but how about practice squad players and free agents, a free agent bubble somewhere to limit the number of people who are coming in and out of your building that have potentially been exposed to COVID moving forward. I thought that was a really neat idea.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I would be putting myself in a bubble so I can get on the field and prove my worth and get a contract, make some money. That's what I'd be doing.
Yep,
absolutely. Speaking of proven worth, Antonio Gibson, you mentioned he looks really good. He's not getting a lot of touches, but it's increasing week by week. He's getting on the field more and more. If you haven't been able to get him and you're in a redraft league, you really now is the time to go and get him. Actually, a week ago was the time to go and get him, but with all the injuries out there, I'm sure his owner in your league is throwing him out there already. If he's not, go get him.
Well, the only thing that I really messed up last week was saying to wait a few weeks because he had the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers, and I figured it would be a couple more weeks before he broke out. But we mentioned last week the broken tackles and the missed tackle rate are just a great, great sign of future fantasy success. And you're right, they're not using him that much. But got to remember this guy got 73 touches last year in college. He's still learning the position, but he's a freak. He is a rare blend of size, athleticism, and speed. And this is a win for the film guys because the stat nerds would not get on board with Antonio Gibson and his production profile at all. So 44% of the snaps, he took 31 snaps. McKissick actually took more snaps and went 13 for 46 and 1, caught 4 of his 5 targets for 82 yards. This is an interesting stat that I came up with. I didn't get this off of, Roto Alarm or anything. I'm so proud of myself. 0.76 fantasy points per snap.
Ooh, okay.
He's getting you 3/4 of a fantasy point per snap.
That's a big number. I like that.
That's not sustainable, but they'll let you know that even if that drops off, the increased touches, it's going to be there, guys. And the passing work is going to be there. That's the most important thing. Some of these teams, I go, okay, well, here we go. Here's time for the pass catching back to get some work because they're behind and it doesn't happen. He is getting in there and getting that pass catching work late in the games. Absolutely love this kid. And Terry McLaurin is fine, by the way.
Yeah,
39 targets in 4 games. Positive touchdown regression is coming because those 39 targets, he's the wide receiver 9, and he has 1 touchdown.
Yep.
We talked about that in the preseason that he was, a candidate for 150 targets. They're not going to be leading.
He's right on pace for that.
Yeah, they're going to be behind. Makeup time, even in matchups like against the Ravens Sunday when they're going to be in garbage time. Yeah, he's matchup proof. Throw him out there. It doesn't really matter who he's playing against. A narrative that a lot of people get stuck on is, so-and-so's got to go against this corner. Well, that corner has to go against so-and-so also.
Mm-hmm.
And just because it's a tough matchup one way doesn't mean it's not an also tough matchup the other way.
And very few guys shadow. Now, Slay did keep him to a quiet game because Slay shadows, but very few cornerbacks shadow.
Quiet game. What was his line against Slay? Anybody know?
I don't know, but I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah, I got you in 1 minute.
This makes for excellent television.
Shit. 5 for 61 on 7 targets.
Yeah, so pretty quiet. 11 points.
5 for 61. That's not awful in a PPR.
No, he didn't lose your week.
No, he didn't lose your week.
He didn't get like AJ Green numbers.
Speaking of dead, hello.
AJ Green is dead.
AJ Green is dead, and T. Higgins is killing him.
You know what, though? I said that once about Larry Fitzgerald, and then he just
AJ Green is
scorching
dead.
earth. I don't know. I reserve saying that because I said that once about Larry Fitzgerald, and he scorched earth for the next 8 games to shut me up. So it does look pretty bad, though, guys.
DED.
It does look pretty bad. And so you've got T. Higgins that where did my T. Higgins notes go? He did not out-snap everybody this week like he did last week. They only used him for 57% of the snaps. But he caught 4 of his 7 targets for 77 yards. And he mossed a dude. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. Yeah. You know, he's got – I mentioned this. He's a talented Mike Williams. I wasn't very high on him. I thought maybe he was going to be one of the lower guys in this class, even though this class projected to be phenomenal and being one of the lowest guys in the class, still, you know, you're probably going to be a pro for a long time. He looks good. He looks better than I thought, and he's a rookie. He's got plenty of room and time to grow with Burrow and within the offense. And
that's the key right there. The rookie quarterback growing with the rookie wide receiver. That's going to be a combination for years to come. If you can snag him in Dynasty in a trade for somebody that needs – if somebody needs one of your guys and you've got him on the block, tell him, hey, I'm listening if T. Higgins is on the table. Yep. And just put it to him like that. And if he says, no, I'm not selling him, say, okay, well then – you know, if they really want your guy, just let them know. Sorry, that's what I got to have.
Someone that could probably be had for nothing while we're on this subject, Denzel Mims. Yeah, go see what you can get for, you know, throw out there for Mims. Adam Gase is not going to be employed next year. He can't be. He really can't be. In that vein, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Bill O'Brien. He thought he was going to start calling the plays in Houston, and Houston had a problem and sent his ass packing. I think it was Field Yates who tweeted out that they don't have a first-round pick in this year or next year's draft. They don't have
a second
pick. They are paying their current roster more than any other team in the NFL, and they are 0-4.
Woof.
It's a dumpster fire. It is the equivalent of taking over an orphan that's at the bottom of a league. Romeo Crennel is set up for failure. You know, this guy who's in his mid-70s and can't believe that the situation is going to get any better moving forward.
Bad trades. I mean, you trade away Jadeveon Clowney for nothing. You trade away DeAndre Hopkins for nothing. I mean, you can't keep trading away your best players for scraps. I mean, it's like collusion. You know, it's one of those trades that gets rejected, even though you're not supposed to reject trades.
And doesn't Laramie Tunsil have more offensive false start penalties in the league since he joined the Texans than any other offensive lineman? Some crazy ass stat like that. They traded away 2 first-round picks for this guy who wasn't under contract. And then he's played terribly. So, yeah, I mean, the franchise is in terrible shape.
I mean, fantasy-wise, there's nothing on this team other than you wanted. I mean,
Will Fuller.
Fuller is about it. And Brandon Cooks is gone. Yeah, Cooks is gone. I mean, he is not doing anything.
He got goose egg Sunday.
Yeah, dude, it was terrible. And I thought he was going to be a great value going into this, and just terrible, man. I mean, even Watson threw for 300 yards and 0.
And Watson didn't run. You brought that up, how his value is so limited. Now
5 for 9.
He threw and threw and had a decent fantasy day, but you know, people that drafted him in Dynasty were drafting him for his legs. I will say it probably every week until we're, you know, raw, but he's a sell. The ceiling isn't there at all.
Yeah, another guy that I said to go out and buy. I told a couple of people of this on Twitter last week, and I went and made 2 trades for this guy myself this past week, and that's Odell Beckham Jr.
Mercy!
Since we're in the state of Texas, and we're talking about quarterbacks throwing for a boatload of yards, we got to talk about this Dallas Cowboy team a little bit. OBJ looked like that, New York Giant OBJ.
Yeah.
I realize this is a low volume,
and he played the Cowboys like he used to when
absolutely.
He was a Giant too.
And if you read my column, I that was the easiest call I made all year. It was that he was going to show up in Texas Stadium. I realized
column while we're on that, it's a thin line between it's a thin goal line between 11 and 8.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, Paulie.
Well, yeah, it was a great call. Who's going to score? He scored 3 times?
3 times.
Yeah. So he caught a pass from Jarvis Landry and Baker Mayfield, and then he ran one in from like 70 yards out. And on that run,
53 yards.
53, he looked fast. I mean, is he a sell high just because that offense runs so much?
No, because when they go to the air, they're going to him first.
Did you see what I posted in our chat about the Browns offensive line? Because remember we talked about how they upgraded, they got the new coach, they traded for the Pro Bowler, they spent 2 high draft picks, and I don't know if you guys saw that or not, but they were 31st in run block win rate in 2019. In 2020 so far, they are 2nd in run block win rate. So just get those guys. I mean, Dearness Johnson might sound like absolute fool's gold, but while Chubb is out, they're going to run the shit out of the ball, and he's obviously the number 2 there. I don't mind spending some fab on him for a plug and play. I mean, he's probably not somebody that's going to stay on your roster for a long time, but times are tough with Eckler down and Chubb down. I'd say go ahead and spend 20% on this guy or whatever you think you need to get. 15 carries for 95 yards. Nick Chubb wasn't used that, or Kareem Hunt wasn't used that much at all when he got his 2 tutties. You guys know I was talking about trading for him all summer long, and I've got so many shares, and happy to plug him in my lineup. That team wants to run so much. I don't know. I think that Odell's a big sell for me right now.
I'm on that too. I was just going to say the volume there, it's not there. They just want to run the ball. They just want to control the clock. It's an opportunity to sell them for sure.
How often are they going to go against the Cowboys that can throw up, 40 points a game, and they got to just stay on the gas? When they don't have to stay on the gas, they're going to run the ball.
Yep.
Yes, it is a low volume offense. They're going to him first, though. I'm not selling him. If I could get anything for Jarvis Landry, I would. He's not really doing anything this year. Another guy who scored Sunday, who probably isn't costing you your season or anything, just due to where you drafted him, that I'm going to get rid of if I can, is Austin Hooper. I think I underestimated just how low a volume passing attack this was going to be. I knew they were going to want to run the ball. You guys know this. I touted the Bill Callahan hiring all summer. For my money, he's the best offensive line coach in football right now, and was that as soon as Dante Scarnecchia finally retired. Yeah, man. This team, I think after they got boat raced by Baltimore, everybody was like, oh, it's the same old Browns, but I really don't think it's the same old Browns. I think these guys can play. Myles Garrett's getting after it on the defensive side.
Oh, yeah, he was feasting.
If they continue to stay within themselves and play from ahead, play with the lead, that kind of thing, they can play with anybody.
Yep.
We were talking about running backs with 20 touches a game that you should be buying, and we were right about Mixon, but I was wrong about Drake. I think he's got multiple injuries at this point. So remember he had that walking boot right before the season started. I think that's limited him. And then he took a shot to the ribs this week that I think really, really slowed him down. But he's been extra. I mean, this was it. You got Detroit Lions last week. You got Carolina this week. That's when you need to show up. Edmonds only had 9 touches, but he scored and he had like 6 catches. So Edmonds would be a sneaky play, I think, against the Jets next week.
I played him in a couple spots this week.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and he did okay for you because he scored and he caught those balls, so he probably got like 14 points. While we're talking about Arizona, I said that Andy Isabella was chasing points, and he did nothing. So
you're exactly right, because he put up a dud.
Yeah, he put up just an absolute like nothingness.
I mean, if you guys remember, we quoted a lot of really great Drake stats from last year, like how he ran a route on 56% of dropbacks, and he's getting all the touches from inside the 5-yard line and that kind of thing. And for whatever reason, I just couldn't endorse this guy, especially at his ADP. He never passed my fantasy smell test. And something's not right. And I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend to know what it is. He just doesn't look like the same guy that you saw explode on the scene. Edmonds looks a lot more explosive than he does. He's a little bit more electric. I just don't know. I can't put my finger on it. 13 for 35, I think, or something like that. And the Panthers are truly historically awful against the run.
Yeah, real bad. Kyler Murray didn't look great throwing the ball this game, other than he had 3 touchdowns, but that came late. But he only threw for 133 yards. So, I mean, this offense just did not look good on Sunday at all against one of the worst defenses in the NFL. So, I don't know. Kingsbury's just his play calling sucks, in my opinion. I mean, besides Hopkins.
Back to Drake, I want to believe that he is hobbled, and I still will buy, especially when it gets to bargain bin pricing, which I'm sure it will be here really soon. I'm going to wait because I think he's going to need some time now to get right. I think they limited him last week. He definitely came off the field from a injury, and I think he was limited from another injury too. I got to give a shout out to a couple guys really quick, because this is our first StreamYard, and we are going to post the video, and this is going to be, this is our normal podcast that'll come out on Anchor and everything. But we did a dry run today, and we didn't post it, and we're not really showing it live. But we got 2 people in the chat that have been with me for a long time, Paul Stickle and John Prather. John's at work listening to us, says we're great. And Paul just hopped in and said, I love this. You guys are great. So we didn't even, put that this was there, and we've been found by a couple people. Paul just said he's home. So
what up, Paul?
Yeah, Paul, what's up, buddy? And John too. We're in a lot of leagues together.
So, I mean, no one even knew we were doing this, and there's a couple people listening live right now. So I just thought that was really, really awesome.
Well, thank you, boys. I appreciate it.
I want to circle back. To this Dallas game, because I want to talk about a guy that we were all high on. I want to talk about Michael Gallup. And what I'm seeing, at least this is what I'm seeing, is that right now I think Michael Gallup is a better real life football player than he is for your fantasy team. And I think maybe the analysis was correct, but it was wrong at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's the kiss of death when you hear that. That's the kiss of death. You never want to hear that. I mentioned last week that he's run the second most routes of anybody in the league, played the second most snaps of anybody in the league. So it's coming. I think what's going to happen is you'll see a couple of those blow up games. Is Michael Gallup the new Amari Cooper?
Exactly.
And Amari Cooper is not the Mr. Inconsistency that we've talked about for years. He's not. He's getting it done. He's a wide receiver 1, and he's been consistent.
He's running excellent routes. He's doing everything that he's supposed to do, and he's such a smart football player. And it's what's happening is he's opening up everything underneath for CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz, if you can believe Schultz is actually a thing, and probably will continue to be.
He probably will, because no one
number of volume that they've got going on in Dallas,
and no one's paying attention to him because you've got 3 fantastic wide receivers just doing all their shit, and he's just opened up underneath. I still think he looks really awkward.
So speaking of the analysis being spot on, all you guys that were on my man Jarwin were absolutely
you were right.
You were absolutely right. Linda Lyons out there, you were absolutely right. Your boy got hurt. He would be feasting right now if he were out there.
Agreed.
You know, but I hate to say it. I think we were right about Gallup, but we were wrong about Gallup, if that makes sense to you.
Yep.
And this Dallas defense is historic. I mean, they're historically bad. Play everybody. Stream everybody against. Don't stream any of the Giants running backs this week. Don't do that. Even if they score, you were wrong. Don't do that.
Woof.
Woof. Yeah, woof. But maybe Daniel Jones and maybe a couple of those pass catchers, they're going to have to score points because Dallas is terrible. I mean, they're just truly terrible. The whole division.
I like Golden Tate this week.
The whole division's awful. The Eagles are 1-2-1, and they're leading the division.
I'm calling it right now. Golden Tate this week's going to be a solid wide receiver too.
What do you think? 7 for 70 and a tug?
Yeah, maybe a little bit more than that.
Over that? Beezy, you over under that?
I'll go under.
If I was a betting man, I wouldn't bet that over, but my heart tells me that they'll need somebody underneath, and he's the guy to get that done. He's been getting the targets, and they're going to have to pass the whole game. There's going to be some garbage time shit going on. So I think he could be a really, really, really sneaky play this week. Well, can I ask you really quick something about your 49ers term? Talk about whatever else you want to talk about then.
No, I was just going to say, for those of you who are betting women out there, DFS is a great way to stay engaged with the season if you're already tilting. Monkey Knife Fight is a different kind of DFS experience, offering both fantasy point and stat-based contests. One of my personal favorite contests is you get to choose the over-under totals for a preset combination of different games or players. They even allow you to parlay to multiply your winnings. You can use the promo code UND when you sign up at Monkey Knife Fight and get an instant 100% match on your first deposit of $50. So Monkey Knife Fight in the Undroppables, a winning combination. Yeah, Paulie, go ahead.
I'm glad you got that in there because I said gambling, and that was just a really good segue. So I am glad you got that in there.
Well, I was trying, but
you're no. I said go ahead, and you had something good there. You had something good. I wanted to ask you about your Niners, man. Jerick McKinnon is getting it done. I mean, it's the reason why I liked Mostert last summer. Just that team runs the shit out of the ball. They rotate running backs through injuries. He's healthy right now. Go Jet. But what I wanted to ask you is
PPR running back 11.
Is Brandon Ayuk Deebo Samuel? Is he Deebo Samuel?
Spider-Man. Yeah, he's Miles Morales. If you don't know who Miles Morales is, go Google Miles. He's Spider-Man.
They are using him like they used Deebo last year.
They are the exact same type of player. When they drafted him, I thought, that's Deebo all over again. Shanahan clearly has an idea of what he wants to do, the kind of wide receivers that he wants. Mo Sanu was sort of that guy early in his career. Who
just got released today.
They just released him today, yeah.
That leap to score,
crazy.
He's Spider-Man.
That was probably the best hurdle over a player I've ever seen. He didn't even touch the guy.
He didn't get touched. Yeah. It was utterly ridiculous. Back to your Jerick McKinnon thing. PPR RB11. I think that even when Mostert comes back, McKinnon will have a role. I said this summer. They're finally getting to use this guy. I have to talk about one of my teams. I know I'm not allowed. I didn't mention my Scott Fishbowl team, but I'm going to mention my league of record. My last pick, I picked Jerick McKinnon, and I got laughed at. And I looked around the room, and I was like, really? You guys have sat with me through enough drafts that you're still laughing at my picks?
Oh, you're going to rub that in their faces for a while.
I mean, I've won this league how many times, and you're still going to laugh at my picks? Come on.
Speaking of Scott Fishbowl, so George Kittle in in our listener league, which we have different scoring for each 5-week segments. This will be the last week of tight end premium, and I have him in the listener league. In one of Paulie Sleeper's 5 ultimate dynasty leagues is tight end premium, and Scott's Fishbowl's tight end premium. He scored 55 points in all of those formats. In our listener league, in my league, and in Scott Fishbowl, 15 targets for 15 catches.
Stupid.
I'm going to give a shout out to one of my followers, Roy Mamba. Roy, I'm in a couple of leagues with Roy. Roy is a great person to be in a league with, but a absolute horrible person to be in a draft with. Horrible person to be in a draft with.
Well, because he shops every single pick.
He's working that draft up and down.
You know what though?
He easily adds
some really good teams.
He has, but he easily adds 10 hours to a draft.
Yeah, he's drafted some really good teams. I'm in some leagues with him where he's my top competition. I'm sure he'll love to hear us giving him the props here.
I'm gonna give him a little love here. I was really giving him the business about one of my teams has not got off to the best start that I thought it might. Fournette started it, and then Godwin went out, and Evans went out, and Adams went out, and Michael Thomas is hurt, and anyway, I thought I had beaten Roy, and then I got Bobby Tanyan'd last night. I saw you calling me out in the chat, Roy, and I didn't go deliberately. I didn't respond to your call out.
I saw that too. His name was Robert Tanyan.
F you, Roy. F you.
Yeah, Robert snatched a lot of victories away there. Absolutely.
I got chalk and usual suspects.
Did you with Robert?
Yeah.
I had him in a couple leagues that I didn't drop him in after the 0 points. I'm going to kick myself for that forever. Justin Jefferson, the first rookie to ever get 100 yards and a half since Randy Moss. We talked about him last week and said that it's not an outlier. I mean, this kid just going to light the league on fire or what?
I said this stat last week too.
Yeah. The Moss thing?
Yeah. Term said it first.
Okay.
Can we name this episode Term Said It First?
I'm sure Dave will be happy to.
Yeah, this is you need to go out
and be named. His name is Robert Tanyan. I think it should be the name of the episode.
I like that too.
Bobby Tanyan.
I think Justin Jefferson, and will he be a weekly start every week? I don't necessarily think so, because I mean Kirk Cousins only threw the ball 22 times. And, they want to run the football. They gave Dalvin Cook 27 carries this week. They gave Madison 7. If they're in a situation where they're going to be playing against teams with better offenses, then I'd get Justin Jefferson there all day. Regardless,
he's a must start though at this point.
Yeah, he is. I would just.
Well, you just said he wasn't.
I said with Kirk Cousins, I just don't have the faith if he's playing against a team that in a game where there's not going to be as much, they're going to run the ball more, where they're going to try to control the clock in blowouts. Yeah. I just think Cousins is not, I hate Cousins as a quarterback. And it's like, I think 22 times.
I get what he's saying. Both things can be true. He's earned the right to get into your lineup. Beasley's saying he's not going to do that for you every week. I think both of those things can be true.
Yeah, those aren't mutually exclusive.
Right.
I have him in Scott Fishbowl, and he is starting for me every week.
Yeah. It's kind of like what I'm
putting him out there every week.
Yeah.
Oof. No, it's a good oof. I didn't say woof. It's not a woof. It's an oof.
I'm 4-0. Oof. What oof?
What's the woof of the week, Bees?
That we didn't try this sooner.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're doing the video.
Well, it would have to be the Texans and firing Bill O'Brien. Like it's a good woof for the Texans, but a bad woof in the sense that they let that guy destroy their entire franchise for the next 5 years. They should
have fired him the moment he walked in and said, I think we should trade DeAndre Hopkins.
Decimated. He's decimated that franchise. You want to talk about rebuild. And Deshaun Watson is continuing to go down and get. I mean, he gets hit a lot, man. I think he is living on major borrowed time that he hasn't missed time to an injury. That guy must be just built out of hard-pressed metal, man. He took some major hits this last week. Seems like whenever I watch them play, I'm watching Deshaun Watson just get creamed back there.
Mm-hmm.
The packages, the packages that they're calling to pick up the blitz aren't there. Whoever's in charge of that line that's supposed to be calling out the blitz pickups it's not there. It's sad to watch, man. That guy is so good, and he doesn't have a trusted target anymore. They just snatched that away from him. The run game is just okay, I guess. It's just their secondary is horrible and has been for a while. Just
yeah.
Wolf.
Dalvin Cook torched him for 130 yards and 2 tutties.
Yeah, so he has 330 yards and 4 touchdowns the last 2 weeks.
Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
You know, that's my boy from last year.
How good is he?
Top 5 back.
Amazing.
Yep.
Where's his dynasty rank right now?
He's in my number 7 overall.
I think I have him at number 6.
Just running backs.
Yeah, number 6.
Well, most of my top ones are running backs. So if we're not talking super flex, yeah, he's number 7 or number 8 overall. I think I only have 1 or 2 wide receivers in that mix. So
man, there's only a couple of guys I'd rather have than Dalvin Cook right now in Dynasty.
Yeah.
Alvin Kamara, and CMC.
What about Zeke?
What about Zeke? I said what I said. I
mean,
said what I said.
That's recency bias, though, man. He's had a couple bad games.
How about recently we saw Dalvin Cook was step for step with CMC all last year.
That's what I said.
And
no, I'm talking about against Zeke. That's recency bias against him because he hasn't produced.
What'd you call it last week? It's important not to get stuck on a take.
Yeah. Take lock.
Zeke is great.
Take lock.
They're not salting away any games. He's producing right now because he's getting 6 catches. He didn't do shit on the ground Sunday. Zeke's talent is Zeke's talent. I'm not shitting on Zeke. I'm just propping up. I'm giving Dalvin Cook some love.
I don't blame you. I'll tell you. I love Dalvin Cook.
If you want the tiebreaker to be, well, Zeke doesn't get hurt. Okay. No, you won't hear any argument from me.
You're right. Dalvin Cook should be way up there, and then he's earned it for sure.
He's at least RB4.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I've got him like 7 or 8 overall, and there's a couple wide receivers in there, so I think he is my wide receiver or running back 4 or 5. Yeah.
Who's the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty right now? Is it Hopkins?
To me, it's Devontae Adams and then Hopkins.
Yeah, I like
where's DK Metcalf?
Way up there.
Yeah.
Up there?
Yeah, I've got him ranked higher than any of the undroppables by far.
I gotta hit my rankings, but these are guys I thought deserve to mention. Some guys we haven't talked about all year. DJ Moore. Where's DJ Moore right now? Because he's off to a pretty slow start, and I'm starting to wonder if he and Teddy Bridgewater just don't have the chemistry.
Yeah, he's had a couple good games though, right?
He had one good game.
He's still our dynasty wide receiver 7, DJ Moore. I think that should probably be changed. I'm the lowest on him at 21. I think guys just haven't adjusted their rankings. I mean, Chalk, do you still want DJ Moore to be your wide receiver 3 in dynasty?
Yeah.
Come on, dude. I love you, man, but come on, dude.
Who were you just talking about before that?
We were talking about DK Metcalf. Me and Jax have him number 7. Jake, you have him 11. Chalk has him 13. Randall and Tommy are both 20 and 24. I think he definitely needs to be nowhere near that, low end wide receiver 2. 7 might be too high, but 2024 is way too low.
Yeah. I think he gets a considerable bump because he plays with Russell Wilson.
Yeah. And he's going to play with Russell Wilson for a minute.
So what I try to do is I try to take out take that out of the equation and judge these guys just based on their skill. Can they go to any offense and be that guy? Say what?
Do against the top cornerback in the league. That's his skill, right?
Yeah, he looked really good, but also the ball placement was.
But where is Russell Wilson going anywhere?
I don't know. Could he get hurt? I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah, but any quarterback could get hurt. I mean, he's his quarterback for the foreseeable future, and he's not old at all. He's, I mean, he's going to be.
I think Wilson's 30, which is a young pup.
Yeah, for quarterback, yeah, I think they'll play together for 6-7 more years. So, wheels up, man. I think he should be at least outside wide receiver 1 in Dynasty right now. I've got him 7. I think that it would be crazy to think of him at anything outside of top 12, honestly.
So you'd obviously rather have him than Godwin, right?
I just traded him straight up for Chris Godwin in Dynasty.
That's why I ask.
Okay.
And the guy that traded with, he saw my rankings. So he pulled a Randall trick. And I said, just because I have him ranked that high doesn't mean, I mean, I still want to trade within the value in the community, not just my particular value. And we went back and forth with some pick swaps. And finally he said, man, I don't think we're getting it done with the pick swaps. I mean, you obviously have him ranked higher. He tagged me. He pulled up our rankings and tagged me on Twitter and said, hey, couldn't help but notice that you have Metcalf 1 spot ahead of Chris Godwin. Why aren't we doing this trade straight up? So I did it. I did it straight up. I love it.
Good for him. I'll say this. I'm getting away from – I'm not trying to win. When I make a trade, I'm not trying to win a Twitter poll. I'm trying to win some fantasy games.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I made a trade that I traded you mentioned the Deshaun Watson trade. I traded away Watson for OBJ and Tyler Boyd in a league. And a lot of people on Twitter were like, "Oh my God, you're the worst ever." And I'm like, "All right, that's cool." Remember that when you asked me a start sit question next Sunday. I'm not trying to win a Twitter poll when I make a deal. I'm trying to win some fantasy games. And what I saw from Deshaun Watson was not what I saw from Deshaun Watson 2 years ago. And I felt like I could make hay with OBJ and Tyler Boyd and the quarterbacks that I had on that team. So if I got a guy ranked higher and someone comes knocking on my door and says, hey, I'll give you this guy for that guy because I saw your rankings, I'm just going to, well, I mean, okay. If I can't squeeze them for another guy, I'm obviously going to try and squeeze that extra piece always. But if, at the end of the day, I'm not crapping on you for making the deal, Paulie.
Well, my problem is he's been banged up and Tom's been getting that chemistry with Mike Evans, who's scored in every game now. So I'm worried that chemistry is going to continue and that Godwin is going to be the number 2, where before they've kind of swapped back and forth. 1 week, one's the number 1, and 1 week's the other one's number 1. I could see a situation where Evans is the clear-cut number 1. Brady loves that big red zone target, and that's going to be an advantage to him. You've got O.J. Howard now out. That increases Evans' touchdown equity. So that's the reason why I sold Godwin for Metcalf. I see that Godwin might be the second fiddle there moving forward once he gets healthy.
Don't we see that a little bit from week to week with Seattle with Lockett and Metcalf? I mean, 1 week.
Yeah, but the other one doesn't. Well, Lockett put up like a complete goose egg. Didn't he?
Yeah, it was like 4 or 5 catches, but it was all at the end of the game. For the
most part, they still the number 2 guy produces because that's such a concentrated offense. So I was fine with it. I mean, just when those guys streak down the field, there's such the threat of the run there between him and Carson that they're taking the tops off the defenses. I'm so excited about that offense right now. I don't have much Metcalf at all. I think I've got one other share in 31 dynasty leagues. So, people that do a lot of dynasty will notice that too, and say, hey, I did kind of a different trade here for this guy, but it's a guy that I don't have that much of and I want shares. So I don't think it's that bad. I really don't. We'll have to see.
I don't think it's that bad at all. I guess I was more. My point was I was commending you for making the deal because you said you still wanted value within the community, and I guess sort of my advice would be, F the community. If you think this guy is number 7 dynasty wide receiver.
I still want his going rate, I guess. If unless somebody calls me out and pulls up my rankings, I still want what I think he's worth in most leagues. But in the end, Michelle, what does she always do? Get her guy. Get your guy, right? They talk about it on Fantasy Alarm all the time. Get your guy. So
get your guy.
Speaking of your guy, Matt Waldman had a interesting little piece on my guy Jonathan Taylor. People are a little worried about this guy because he hasn't produced. I don't think the team is ready to just put him, put the game on his shoulders.
And they haven't had to, right?
No, they haven't had to, and he's getting ahead of himself, literally. Waldman showed a couple videos where his footwork was just getting a little bit too quick. He had one that he could have taken to the house so easily, and he was pounding the ground after his feet went a little too fast. He's processing the information a little too quickly. He needs to slow it down a little bit.
It'll slow down for him.
To me, it's better than these guys that slow down too much and they're behind the line trying to figure out where the holes are. He's hitting the hole. He's just getting a little bit ahead of himself and tripping himself up. He fell down a couple times. That one play, I don't know if you know the one I'm talking about. He just had this huge Moses Red Sea parting. If he could have just not tripped over his own damn feet. BZ, did you see that?
I did see it, yeah.
It was a 60-yard touchdown run that he
it was. Yeah, like I'm waiting for that kid just to go off. Like you can see.
It's coming.
You do, but if with what you were saying with this, people not getting what they expected. This is a great time to go through some offers out there and see if you can get a nice little discount on them. Probably not going to happen right now, but you might have an owner that's tilting somewhere that might be like, all right, this was a mess up.
Maybe a little bit.
You might be able to get something out of there and get him a little bit cheaper than what you would.
Flipping over to the other big rookie running back, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, guys want him to be a top 3 running back, and he could be if he had a few more touchdowns underneath his belt. He's the RB12 right now with 1 touchdown, and he's had so many opportunities, and he looks great. I think that there's some positive touchdown regression coming to him too. To me, it's amazing that he's the RB12 with just 1 touchdown. He should have about 4 right now.
I don't know where he's ranked right now, but if you're fortunate enough to have Kareem Hunt on your team for the next few weeks, you probably have a top 5 running back.
I would say top 5 easy.
He's got a tough task this week against the Colts. They allowed like the lowest rushing yards against the Bears since 1990. They had 26 rushing yards against us.
Yeah, I mentioned on Twitter,
but he gets that passing work. So he'll probably be all right.
Do not stream Nicholas Foles against the Colts. Got some people shouted me down for it, and then the Colts pass defense is just phenomenal. I'm definitely taking the under on that game. The Browns and the Colts.
Yeah, they're number 1 ranked passing and running defense right now. It's unbelievable.
Their defense is awesome. If Phillip Rivers can continue to not turn the football over, they're going to be everything that we said they had a chance to be this preseason, which is AFC contenders. The Bills look good. Obviously, the Chiefs look good, but they should win that division. I think they're better than the Titans.
I do too. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, speaking of the Titans, they hopefully they get to open their facility tomorrow and do some practicing. They still have not had any new positive tests, so that's 2 straight days. If they get it again, I guess tonight when they do the testing, they'll be able to practice tomorrow, and hopefully the Bills and Titans are a go this Sunday. No more postponed games, hopefully.
God willing.
Please, that hurt a little bit this week with having no Jonnu, and I had missed Tannehill in a few weeks. That sucked, man. That was a big blow.
Derrick Henry,
yeah.
Juice Smith-Schuster. Big Ben, Deontay Johnson. That was actually a chance for him to get healthy. He's out of the concussion protocol, according to Mike Tomlin. So, toss him out there, play him as you normally would. I think that's about it, guys. Is anything else that we didn't mention that you guys wanted to get to?
I had a couple things. Darnell Mooney is out snapping Anthony Miller now. So we talked about him a couple weeks ago, and Jax Falcone, who is on the Undroppables, has talked about him. Not sexy, caught 5 of his 9 targets for 52 yards, but RIP Anthony Miller, it seems. And then I've got a really deep, this might be the deepest like sleeper I've ever had. So deep that, it's got a really low percentage, but Justin Jackson's had a core injury, which would allow Joshua Kelly to leapfrog him. And there's who's the number 3 there besides I see you shaking your head, Term. What do you got?
This is a fantastic piece of information. Please.
Do you know who I'm getting ready to talk about?
Please continue.
Well, I'm just thinking that Justin Jackson isn't ready to go, possibly with his core injury. There's nobody else there except for a fullback. They love to run the ball. Their practice squad member from Tulane, Darius Bradwell, is 6 feet, 235. He's got the profile. He did really, really well at Tulane. I mean, this is somebody that if you search his name on Twitter, I don't think anybody is talking about him. And it could be for a good reason. Like Artavius Pierce, we talked about him last week. I think he ended up being inactive. He might not be a thing, and this guy might not be a thing either, but I'm telling you, Joshua Kelly's not going to run the ball 25 times. And if Justin Jackson isn't ready to go, what do you know about this guy? I saw you shaking your head, and I guess it was an approval shake. Term.
I really like this guy. He's athletic. He reminds me a little bit of Hughes Check in that he can catch the football. Like you said, he had a great career at Tulane. Props if you know Tulane's mascot. Do you know it? The Green Wave. The Green Wave.
So their mascot isn't even it's like a concept. It's not even like an object. How do you do the green? I mean, it's not an animal. What's their mascot? Just like a big green.
It's a T with a blue wave on it. It's not even the green wave. It's a blue wave on it.
I almost didn't want to mention him because I haven't picked him up anywhere. And I know you guys are going to go freaking shark him in my leagues, you freaking bastards. But I wanted to get the information. Yeah. Beezy's out there picking his ass up right now.
So I want.
If you're picking up him up in a league that just has automatic pickups, I'm not worried about those leagues.
No,
the waivers, you better put a few bucks on them because you're right. Eckler could get shelved,
and Justin Jackson could be the Eckler because he can catch the ball. If he gets out there, if he's healthy, and Kelly.
Man,
Kelly has fumbled the ball the last couple of weeks. He's lost some fumbles, so don't just poo-poo Justin Jackson just yet.
I am loaded with Justin Jackson from this year's draft. So
yeah, I'm not. It's just you can't get either one of those guys in dynasties.
Yeah.
This is Darius Bradwell's a guy you can get because he's 100% available right now.
100%. Philip Lindsay is expected to be back, and I'm gonna throw a guy out who, if you're in a super flex, go toss some offers out for him right now. Do it right now. I wasn't gonna mention this because I think I put about 10 offers out for him today, and I think every single damn one of them got shot down. But Jimmy Garoppolo, his pass catchers are getting healthy. The team around him is getting healthy. The defense is not going to be as good as it was last year, so they're not going to be protecting all those leads in the second half. He's going to have to throw the ball a little bit. Ayuk looks really good. Polly mentioned. Debo's come back. They're going to – George Kittle's he's a monster. Go throw some offers out for Garoppolo while he's hurt and people are forgetting about him and it's just the Niners. They don't throw a lot. Yeah, now's the time to go trade for him if you're in a super flex league.
Yeah, I like that.
Also, too, with OJ Howard going down, you may want to go check out Cameron Brate real quick if you need a tight end or tight end premium.
He's the one I didn't want to mention.
I'm gonna mention it just because Gronkowski looks like shit, and
he's a blocker.
He is. I think that I wouldn't expect Brate to become like this top tight end, but he could be a nice stream week to week and a nice fill-in if you need one.
But every season, at some point in the season, it's Cameron Brate season.
I said I'm going to go with it.
Until it's not. So he's going to be a thing at some point, and then he won't be. So he's free. I put in waivers for him for tonight's waivers. Absolutely. I had him on a bunch of leagues last year, but then when they brought in Gronk and he was the number 3, I was like, okay, I'm going to let him go. That's another guy we should have held on to. He's never been
you just can't hold everybody. You just can't do it.
No, he's never going to be a high volume guy, but he'll flash. And
he's a red zone guy
in a 2 tight end league or tight end premium league with 4 flex spots where you got to stick somebody in there. He'll be a good spot start. They paid him too.
They did pay him.
Paid him more than I thought they were going to pay him. So the guy is under a pretty hefty contract for someone that is barely used. I'd like to know what his career touchdown rate is. I bet that kid has a crazy ass high career touchdown rate.
Stat heads out there, tweet us, tweet at us.
Yeah, tweet at Unscripted and let us know what his career touchdown rate is. I bet it's pretty good.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode, man. We covered a lot. We really enjoyed it. This is our first StreamYard. You can probably look for this to continue to happen. We're going to try and add some production value for you moving forward. We didn't really want to advertise this, but we got found out by a couple of paparazzi members, John and Paul. We're just missing Ringo, and we got a band. So we really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I know you guys had fun. You guys have been pushing me to do this for a while anyway. I'm glad we finally did it. Until next time, man, just remember the best episodes are
unscripted. And broadcast. And then